All right, guys, too. I have a VF5 SS Haas. I have the Trt310 310 millimeter platter in this. This is a pretty big boy. This guy is a big. Let me back out here a little bit. This guy's big. Weighs about 1,050 pounds. The plus side is I could swing a little over a 24-inch part in here. The downside is I'm starting to eat up a lot of Z. So the max part I've done on this is about 10 inches tall. That was long enough to get tools in there and kind of get in there without doing anything funky, having to kind of tip the part, come and rotate in, and doing something too crazy. This is pretty stinking rigid for a Haas. My background, I'm a big 5-axis guy, but not on a bunch of metal machines. I usually had ran and programmed really large gantries up to 60 feet of travel. But this Haas is pretty rigid. I've used a tiny bit of the UMCs, and I've heard some problems with the UMCs. But this guy has really high clamping power. I did buy this one new, so luckily no one's crashed. I haven't ran into any problems. But the torque on all the rotaries, different axes, is really high. And also the braking, the clamping force of the different axes is, I think it's like 3 times as much, if I remember correctly, over the Trt310. When you get into 5-axis, this stuff is incredibly dependent on the part. So you really got to know what you're doing. Stuff changes dramatically, especially when you're putting rotaries in the machine. I do use Fusion to program this. The Haas 5-axis Fusion post-processor is really good. I love Fusion as well. I brought in the Haas VF5 model. I put the Trt310 on it. I use that when I program to render, and I can see if the head is going to hit and stuff. Now, slight bummer, none of this stuff is in the 3D model I have. I could go through and kind of add it, but I actually have done parts where this stuff hits. I get so close. Doing 5-axis rendering is absolutely necessary, and getting all the gauge lengths programmed in your CAD-CAM system is absolutely necessary too. So I have a library with all the tool holders that I have in there. I'll stock stuff out as far as I need to, and then on my setup sheets, I'll actually put those in there as much as I need to. So that's what I use to program. This guy's pretty stinking good. I've hogged out and ripped some, I've done some full 5-axis parts on this out of some 15.5 stainless, and the finish looked great. So I'm pleasantly surprised with it. Again, the only downside is this Z height, you eat up a lot of it, and the other downside is this is slow. So if you're going to do full 5-axis high-speed machining, this guy is substantially slower than the Trt210s or the maybe the 160s. But for the stuff I'm doing, this is what I wanted. This is a great, in my opinion, a great way to kind of dabble into the 5-axis stuff. Oh, geez. The price has gone up so much on Haas stuff. This was like $40K, so it is not cheap. I would not buy this stuff without buying the, what do they call that stuff? Hold on here. Without buying the TCPC DWO function, which is annoying that I had to pay $6 or $7 grand for that, whatever it is. That is 100 times better. It is so much faster, and it's such less mental load, which is huge. Having that feature. If you're not into 5-axis and you don't have that feature, you have to model in your CAD-CAM where all of your pivot points are. So then when you set up a part, when you come and put it in your vise, you have to come measure it. And if it's not on center, you have to readjust that in your CAD-CAM and repost down to the 1,000th of an inch or whatever, however accurate you'd like to be, which starts playing tricks on you. 1,000th of an inch doesn't sound like a lot, but it starts playing tricks on you on certain things. So I really like that feature because I can slap whatever in here and then it doesn't matter. Now, if you're hogging out a piece of stock on your op1, then it does not matter. It doesn't matter as much. But now if you're holding something and doing op2, then it kind of matters a little bit more as far as dialing that, those settings in. Anyways, I have the probes on everything that I get now, and I got all those features. It makes life really, really nice. One more thing, I just wanted to give it of the Trt310. The old one, the Tr310, actually is like 4 inches taller. So the Tr310, I was very scared this thing was going to be huge because I've seen the Tr310s, and you need at least a VF6 to run the 3RT10s. This guy, I believe the VF3, 4, and 5 have the same Z heights and travels and dimensions. I actually think this fits pretty good in here, and I can do some pretty cool parts. Another thing that is going to be really big, here, let me grab this for you, is getting some sort of dovetail holder. Because look how much shorter that is than this whole vise setup. That's big. The Z clearance is huge when you're doing 5-axis parts. So get yourself some different dovetail holders. This is great for 3 or 4 inch wide material. I have some smaller ones for that skinnier material. And then the vices, a self-centering vise is a must. So when you buy this, long story short, get the additional features, TC, whatever it is, TCPC and the DWO. I'd just buy a vise with it as well. Pretty handy, and then get yourself some dovetail fixtures. You'll be good to go. One more thing, if you aren't getting into 5-axis, or if you haven't but you are, heat shrink tool holders are, I'm going to go ahead and just say it again, they're a necessity for this type of stuff. Now, for the longest time, don't be scared. I just used 2 MAP gas torches and carefully heat these up and put them in. I did that for quite a while before I bought a heat shrink machine to heat and unheat these. But for just getting far down and all of your clearances, these are key for getting in parts. I pretty much don't run any 5-axis parts without these now. So anyways, that's a little bit of a review of the TRT 310 on my VF5. I like it a lot. So, and I have talked to some people too. I probably will. I don't know if I'm going to be looking at a Haas or a different brand 5-axis, but some of the guys that have the UMC say this setup is way more rigid. So it is a little bit of a trade-off. Now you have a very rigid, robust machine with a very rigid, robust axis on it. So it depends what you're doing. Again, I've done some 10-inch cube stainless parts on this. That's kind of pushing the envelope of this setup. So, but smaller aluminum parts, smaller setups of the UMC obviously is going to be fine. But anyways, I don't know, just my 2 cents for whatever it's worth. So I do not regret getting the TRT 310. Anyways, there you go.